I'm Holly.
And I'm Bridget.
And this
is Girls Next Level.
Welcome back to Girls Next Level, everybody.
I guess I need a mic.
Yeah.
I was just going to sit here and shoot the shit like I don't need a mic.
So today we are talking about an episode that's one of my favorites. In fact, out of all the episodes we've watched so far, it's probably my favorite one. But it's like a lot of other people's least favorite.
Oh, it's hated. This is a heavily contested episode.
It really is. And it's so strange to me because the thing that people don't like about this episode is the fact that we had a dog birthday party, which is really strange to me because out of all the things that are problematic about this show or haven't aged well about this show, certain people like to use the dog birthday party as an example of what they don't like about the show. Make it make sense.
I know. And I just feel like it's such a weird thing to hate.
It really is because it's so harmless. It's just cute. It's kind of a typical like early 2000s reality show thing because small dogs were such a thing.
Yes.
Like the Osbourne small dog, Paris Hilton's small dog. Like it was just such a thing. And it's not a viewer hater thing. Like it's not viewers hating it. It's Kendra started it. She turned it into this whole thing and just everybody else has jumped on board. Even to the point where like a couple weeks ago, Crystal Hefner did this kind of rude rant about us on her Instagram story. And she was talking about the show. She's like, I hate that show. I hate all this. I hate all that. I hate doggy birthday parties. But ironically, I had followed her up until that point. And just less than a month ago, she had a birthday party for her dog on her Instagram story. She's like, oh, it's Lady's 10th birthday. And like her and a friend like took their dogs to a park and like had all these treats and all this stuff for the dogs. And I'm like, wait, did you forget that you just did a dog birthday party? And now you're like, I hated doggy birthday parties.
It's so weird.
Tag PETA.
I feel... I would like to actually start out with a little context about this and how it even came to be.
Yeah.
Because, okay, I do have no idea how this became the most controversial / hated episode. But in order for an episode, and I know we've talked about this before, but I just want you to go through this with me again. We would have ideas. Mm-hmm. We would have a schedule of what's coming up. And obviously I just got Winnie in season 1. It's her birthday coming up. Kevin always said that some of the most popular things that the fans loved about the show were animals. Like they want to see more with the animals. So what can we do more with the animals?
And that makes sense too, because one of the reasons I really love this episode, I noticed it first when I was doing the YouTube rewatch years ago, and I texted you about it. I'm like, dog birthday party is one of my favorite episodes because it's so visual and it's so cute. And of course I'm partial because they were our pets. So of course I love seeing them again because they're no longer with us, unfortunately. This was a long time ago, but it's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, but so I'm coming up with ideas along those lines, and what a perfect way to include all of the pets.
Yeah.
With a dog birthday party. It's Wednesday's birthday coming up. And I do celebrate my pets' birthdays.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be as elaborate as a whole dog birthday party like that, but I still do things for my pets. And so Kevin has to like the idea. And then, not only then, it has to go through Hef, and Hef has to agree on the idea. So he obviously liked the idea. And then E has to be okay with it too.
Yeah.
So like, it went through so many different channels before anything gets approved on the show. That's going to be like a whole episode like that was, or it's at least half the episode. And so I'm just like, okay, you guys can hate on dog birthday party all you want, but it went through a lot of people, and a lot of people had to agree that this is a great idea.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just so harmless, and it's one of those things that, yeah, it's fun and it's campy, but you do that when you're on a reality show. You kind of up the camp level. Like, we love campy shit anyway, but when you know you're being recorded for a reality show, you do kind of up the camp a little bit, and you push what you're ordinarily going to be doing to make it a little cheesier and a little campier and a little more visual and a little more interesting to watch. And people just act like this is like the most ludicrous thing we've ever done.
The visual thing, I think, is what's really important, too.
Yeah.
Like, you do have to make things bigger and better when you're doing a reality show. Everybody knows what regular life looks like.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, they want to see what you're crazy, glamorous. Like, what are these girls going to do next?
Eccentric. Yeah, that's what they want to see.
So, and the first wind that I ever got that the doggy birthday party was, like, a bad thing to anybody was when I heard Kendra fighting with Kevin downstairs in the dining room one time. I mean, I just heard shouting and screaming. I'm in my bedroom, which is like above the dining room, and I hear all this shouting and screaming from downstairs, and I was like, what is happening? And I opened up my door and I stood over the balcony, and I hear Kevin and Kendra getting into it.
Whoa.
Hardcore. And then I heard Kendra call him fat and that she's tired of doing stupid bullshit on this show like doggy birthday parties. And I was like,
oh my God.
So I was like, I was just like, oh my God, because I felt like that was like a slap in my face.
Was it really soon after the dog birthday party, or was it like season 3, 4, or 5?
I honestly don't even remember what it was, but it wasn't close to the doggy birthday party. It was in another season. But I don't remember exactly when this fight was. But it was a blowout, and she called him a fat
Whoa.
And I mean, it was like full out fight.
Whoa. Yeah, that's what I always heard too, was from Kevin. And this was in the spin-off years when Kevin and I became closer. He would always talk to me a lot about, like, he loved to talk about the origins of his other shows. Like, I'm sure he sat you down too and told you all about how Ancient Aliens came about and how
Oak
that
Island
happened. Oak Island. And he also told me about how Kendra's spin-off came to be and how they came up with the ideas and, you know, how they came up with the title. And he said that originally when they were developing Kendra's spinoff, she said she wanted to call the show Keeping It Real. And her whole thing was, I only want to do real shit. Like, I don't want to do any fake fucking dog birthday parties. And that was just always the feedback I heard, that what she hated to do. She would sum up everything she hated about Girls Next Door and anything she thought was fake as the dog birthday party. And it's like, okay, if that's just her problem, fine. But people have jumped on board with it over the years. And I'm just like, you flickers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that wasn't fake for me.
No.
That was not a fake thing for me. Like,
Well,
I would have done something for Winnie's birthday no matter what. I mean, so to me, this was totally authentic. I love planning parties, planning any events. I would have done something for Winnie. It wouldn't have been that big, but I would have definitely done something for her. I probably would have still done the dog bakery that we're going to get into. Like, I would have done a lot of the same things. So this is not fake for me. It's very organic. It's something that I enjoyed doing. I really, truly thought of Winnie as like my child.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did, because
well, now you have all those memories and the photos. And I'm glad you did too, because it's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. And we'll get into all of the reasons that I think it's such an amazing episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wouldn't change a thing. I would, if somebody said, if you did Girls Next Door all over again, would you still do the dog birthday party? I'd be like, yes, I'd do it twice.
Yeah, I'd probably contribute more to it. So before we get into the episode, we're going to jump in our hot tub time machine.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I just blew right through your hot tub time machine.
We should call it the Grotto Time Machine.
We should. The Grotto Time Machine. Where are we?
So this episode first aired on September 3rd, 2006. The number one song was Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake. Anytime I hear like Justin Timberlake's solo music, it brings me back to the time period, but not in a good way, because I remember his first album, and that reminds me of the Mean Girls era.
Wait, I'm Bringing Sexy Back?
Yeah.
Why did I think that song came out later?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked it up. Maybe I found the wrong chart.
No, you probably didn't. I probably just am wrong, but...
And then the number one movie that week was a movie called Invincible. And I was like, what was that? And it's a Mark Wahlberg football movie.
Oh.
I don't remember it.
I don't remember. We probably watched it at the mansion and I don't remember.
I know. I think so too. So anyway, justice for the dog birthday party. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So it starts out in the backyard on a peacock making its peacock noises. Pink flamingos. Oh, and if you were wondering what the peacock noises are, you can... flash to the stop of this episode to hear it. Although Holly does a pretty spot on. Cuts to my room. I'm sitting on the floor and I say, I think of myself as Wednesday's mom. She's my baby girl.
And this is kind of a theme of the episode too, because as you'll see, we'll get into it. It's also Easter. It's also talk about parenting, because this whole episode is supposed to be like the springtime reproduction motherhood episode. And they're trying to fit that to us in any way they can. Did you know Easter was originally a pagan fertility festival?
I did not.
Around the goddess Ishtar. And that's where the word Easter comes from.
I did not know any of that.
Now you know.
Interesting. Winnie's laying on the floor and I'm trying to put a bow in her hair, but she keeps flopping on her back, so I can't do it. So just so you guys know, Winnie doesn't like outfits, as you're going to see in this episode, but she also didn't even like bows in her hair. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/nextlevel and get on your way to being your best self. Holly, do you have all your Christmas shopping done?
I've got almost all my kids' Christmas shopping done. I've got most of Zach's stuff, and I just need to get stuff for my nieces and nephews.
I'm still working on Nick's side of the family. I have my side of the family done, but I'm still working on Nick's. Whether or not your family gives gifts during the holidays, you get to define how you give to yourself. And the holidays are a great time to do that. So whether it's by starting therapy, going easier on yourself during the tough moments, or treating yourself to a day of complete rest, remember to give yourself some love this holiday season.
Therapy has been such a savior for me over the years. It's really helped with my time management skills, which have really come into play this last couple months because it's been so hectic for me. It's helped me be able to manage my emotions, look at my fears, look at where I might be being irrational. It's given me a lot of really great coping skills, and those have really come into play for the last month for me. So I am so thankful for therapy.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. In the season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/nextlevel to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/nextlevel. And I loved the bows in her hair. And anytime I got them put in, whether the groomers put them in or I got one put in, she would have them out in a heartbeat.
Oh, you have to get that picture real quick. Yeah. You know what's funny is when we're talking about this in commentary, the three of us each say something that goes perfectly with our character, but I don't think we mean to. Like, you're like, oh, I love bows on Winnie's hair, though. And I'm like, she just wants to be naked. And Kendra's like, she's a tomboy. I feel like that bops each of our characters perfectly, and we weren't even trying.
It totally does.
This is a very Girls Next Door quintessential scene because I put in my notes, dogs and boobs.
Were my boobs out?
Your boobs were out.
What was I wearing? I can't remember.
Well, it was the dog birthday party outfit, so it was kind of that crop orange top, but you're kind of like bending over, which I think adds to it because you're like bending over Winnie.
Oh, yeah, and then I have to wear a bra with that top, and I was trying to hide my bra with it, but I didn't have very good luck doing it. So the next scene is outside the mansion. A new angle this time. This is a new, like, I know I like pointing out the angles that they do, but did you see this angle?
No, I put that in my notes too. I'm like, they're really getting creative with the angles because it's through the archway that you can drive through under the mansion, and it's pointed toward my vanity window, which they're finally getting that right too. Like, they're finally figuring out like what shots of what windows do we need to use for what room.
Yeah, but I'd never seen this angle before.
It's a really good one. I like it too.
And
I'm on the floor petting my dogs, cut to the vanity, and I had 4 dogs, and anybody who's had more than 2 dogs, like, it's a cacophony. Like, it's just like, I mean, my dogs, some of them were yappy, but it's just like chaos at all times.
Well, I was gonna say you're singing to Duchess.
Yes, I loved singing to Duchess for some reason. I don't know why.
And you say it's springtime here at the mansion, and what that means is a lot of baby animals. It's like a Disney movie. None of us have kids, but we do have a lot of animals that we play mother to at the mansion.
It's funny how animal greedy I was back then and continued to be for several years after that. And now, and it's probably because I have kids, but now I can barely handle 1 dog. I'm like, this is my limit. Like, Rainbow loves animals, and she's always like, Mom, can we get a cat? Mom? I'm like, I am pooped. I am like at my animal limit with 1 dog.
Yeah.
I know my boundary. I know my limits now.
Well, I think it's because you have kids.
Yeah, I think so
for
too.
Sure. But that's like Nick is always asking me, can we get another cat? Can
yeah.
we get another cat? I'm always like, no, 2 is
that's
enough
so
cats.
Funny.
So then the next scene is Holly's in the Great Hall and Hef comes down the stairs and Holly says, "Are you ready to come find the white peacocks?" But I think you should reiterate a little bit on this part because we talked about it already, even though we weren't in this episode yet. But it wasn't something that Hef would have normally have done.
Yeah, I feel like this is another one of those scenes where he's doing it in season 2 because at this point he's seen what the show is and he's in love with the show, so he's willing to make that extra effort. I feel like in season 1, if I was like, "Hef, we need to do a scene where we go out in the backyards and look for the white peacocks," he would have been like, "No, you can just do that on your own." He would not have been into it.
Yeah, or even before the show, he would have been like, "I'm not going to go do that."
Yeah.
Like, I just don't feel like he would have been into it at all, but totally for the show.
Yeah.
Totally. I have this question for you. Okay, in interview, you say, Holly says, in interview, you say, "We have a zoo here at the mansion that includes 9 dogs, 3 cats, over 100 different species of birds, 3 different types of monkeys, 2 kinkajous, and reptiles and amphibians. I couldn't think of 3 cats. Obviously Gizmo.
Yeller.
Obviously Yeller. What's the other one?"
I don't know, but there must have been one or I wouldn't have said.
I know. But I was like, wait, and I was racking my brain. What is the 3rd cat? Because the cat that Crystal had was Yeller.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like just the wild.
It was like a
mansion
stray cat that just kind of like found its footing at the mansion.
Was there a second one like that?
There must have been. For some reason in my head, I'm picturing like a white calico that was kind of like a Yeller style cat that was just kind of there. I'm so animal greedy though that if a stray cat had even stepped foot on the mansion in that past
It's
year.
mine.
Yeah, we have another cat. Like that would have been how I was. So, yeah.
I feel that way about my parents' house because my parents live way out in the country and like stray cats just come by all the time. And I think they belong to like the neighbors usually, which I can't stand that they let them outside. I know that's very controversial, but like especially out in the country like that. I mean, it's a crazy like road where people go really fast and big trucks. And then it's just like tons of coyotes and these giant like hawks. And I just like... So every cat that I see at my parents' property, I'm like, mine. And it needs to come inside immediately.
Yeah.
And you go walking by the cages and say, "Hi guys, it's mommy," which is our first like real indication that like we're very motherly on the animals. And
there's this weird shot of me running with the birds on my arms, and I just miss Carola so much when I see that, because Carola was such a funny bird. Like, I'd have all these things, like if I'd move my arm up and down while she was on it, she would do these funny things, like these funny dances. Do you remember?
Yes.
And her neck looked like a weird, like accordion.
And she would laugh.
Yes.
Or at least it seemed like laughing, but it looked like she was
swear that
laughing.
bird could communicate with me.
Yeah, she was so funny. She had such a personality. And in an interview, you say that you think that you're going to be a great mom because you get a ton of practice with all the animals around here. And my next question for you is, do you think that playing mother to all the animals at the mansion helped you in being a real mother?
I don't know. It's so hard to compare. It's like apples and oranges. I almost think anything animal aside, I think any time you get practice in dividing your time or just time management helps toward being a mom. I think that's kind of the first thing that jumps to mind. It's hard to compare just because taking care of a kid is so different than the bare minimum you have to do to take care of an animal,
of course.
But yeah, it's funny even watching this and hearing me say that. It's so funny to like watch a younger version of myself talk about being a mom now that I am a mom. It's so weird.
I even felt that was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
For
it's
you.
I feel like I'm not that person because it was a long time ago, but I feel like, who is that? That's a foreign entity. Like,
but I think that caring for animals is a lot like caring for kids. I mean, I say that without having kids, but I just mean caring for anybody or anything.
It's definitely a good starter pack to make you realize the responsibilities, I think. Like, it's great to introduce pets into kids' lives so they get that kind of responsibility. And I think you learn a lot of empathy by caring for animals too.
Yeah, and also I guess it depends on what kind of a pet mom or dad you are to your pets, because some people are very like bare minimum, like they just have a dog and it's whatever. But I feel like other people, and I talked about this when Winnie passed away, I feel like some people just have a pet and they have a pet. It's their pet.
Yeah.
And then I feel like some people have a pet and it's like their kid, kind of. But then I feel like other people have a pet and it's sort of like a soulmate. And and there's nothing wrong with any of those things if that's your relationship with your pet or that's the way you are. But I feel like there's 3 totally different kinds of like bonds that you can have with your pet.
100%.
I saw a meme the other day, and I think this is really good for this episode, and I hope I don't mess it up. But it said that a cat is your best friend, or cat or a dog, your pet is your best friend for a short part of your life, but your cat or dog's best friend for its whole life.
Oh my God, that hit me. That is so sad.
Isn't it? It's so sweet, but so
it
sad.
Is.
I know, it makes me teary-eyed too. And I feel like people who don't have pets in their life are really, really missing out on something.
I think so too. Like, I understand, like, it's super hard and expensive these days. Holy the vet bills when they get old. Jesus Christ.
I know.
But yeah, you're right. And I feel like it's interesting to think about how pet ownership has changed over the years. Like, I feel like back in the day, people just used to have like a dog in a doghouse in the backyard.
Right.
And now it's like you really have to be like on every detail of your pet's life or you'll be criticized, which obviously I'm all for people treating their dogs the best they absolutely can. But it's crazy to think about it because the standards have changed.
That's so funny that you say that because I didn't even think of it from a social media perspective or the way other people would see it. But I just feel like people in general, and maybe this is not everywhere, but I feel like you're right. Like when we were younger, it was okay just to have a dog chained up in the backyard or in a dog house or like, whatever. And when I say chained up, I don't mean like in a bad way. I mean like on a long chain where it can, just so it doesn't get away kind of thing. But now, like, I feel like people don't do that. They're much more understanding and loving to pets.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the ways society's kind of evolving. People are treating their pets better because back in the day, like even like growing up in the 80s, like it was so common for people just to have outdoor pets that never came inside almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do think that's changing, but I wonder as we're talking about this, if it's changed everywhere or if it's more like a LA or California thing or.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Or more just like people who are putting themselves in front of social media and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I would love to know your guys' thoughts on it. Just like chime in on the comments. Because I think it's really interesting.
I know. I feel totally lost. Like we just went on this emotional dog tangent.
We did.
One thing I wanted to say is I feel like this nice little moment with me and the animals, I like it because I feel like the animals were such a huge part of my life at the mansion. Like I would always like touch base with Ish, the zookeeper, the head of the zoo staff, and I would carry around a little folder where I had like printouts of what every species of pet or bird was we had at the mansion. I'd want to learn everything about it.
The holidays can create even more waste than usual. When we get done unwrapping presents, there is just piles of wrapping paper and boxes and bows. And I just sit there and think, how much of this is recyclable? How much of this needs to go in the trash? Is there enough room in my bins? And then where is this all going after that? Each year, Americans throw away 25% more trash from Thanksgiving to New Year's. What if we told you there was a way to get all your holiday shopping done without the guilty feeling over the waste that typically comes with it? Meet Blueland. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet. The idea is simple. Grab one of the beautiful Forever bottles, fill it with warm water, drop in the tablet, and get cleaning. Refills start at $2.25, and you don't have to buy a new plastic bottle every time you run out. You can even set up a subscription or buy in bulk so you never run out of the products you use the most. From cleaning sprays to hand soap. Oh my gosh, speaking of hand soap, they sent us these amazing scented hand soaps that are themed throughout the year. I love them. They smell so good.
For a limited time, Blueland's hand soap is getting a festive upgrade with a beautiful chocolate box-inspired gift set with cozy scents like peppermint, my favorite. I also love winterberry and vanilla frost. It's a perfect gift for your loved one or yourself to reduce waste. I love these bottles. They look so pretty in my home. And it's so fun to drop the tablet in the bottle and just add water. It's like making your own potion. I love it.
Blueland has a special offer for listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/nextlevel. You won't want to miss this. Blueland.com/nextlevel for 15% off. That's blueland.com/nextlevel to get 15% off.
I forgot one of the Kinkajous was named Yoda.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that you get to see the Kinkajou here. So
He's
if
so
you,
cute.
they show it for like a split second, but if you're wondering, and I ask, wait, where, I don't even know where this is in my notes, but I ask you, I think in commentary, how do they get the Kinkajous out? Because it's daylight when they're out and the Kinkajous are just nocturnal. And you were like, oh, they had to like kick them out of their nests, like,
Oh my gosh.
and get them up. So they weren't very happy
poor
just to get one of
Kinkajous.
them on
Yeah.
camera.
And then I said in commentary, I'm the only non-zoo person allowed in with the tamarin monkeys.
Yeah.
And that one of the cameramen tried to get in there to get the shot and he got attacked.
I know. I didn't remember that happening, but I obviously heard that in commentary this time. And I was shocked because Kendra laughs and said, haha, I wish I could have seen that. But I'm like, what?
Yeah, because that's serious shit.
It's
like
serious.
the tamarins were tiny, but obviously they can bite you. And even with Coco, we had to be really careful. And when I first was lobbying to get Coco to come out of the cage, Ish was really scared. He's like, absolutely not. If that monkey could fuck up your face. Like he was really scared to do it. So we were always so careful. But there was one point where one of the people on the zoo staff took a vacation. It wasn't a very long one. But when she came back, Coco attacked her. And it's because monkeys feel like if they see someone leave and then come back, that they have abandoned the tribe. So they get angry at them and take it out. That's why like people always ask me like, what animal do you want to see from the mansion again? Or if now you could have one of the animals from the mansion. I'm like, oh, Carola, I love Carola. And Coco's the other one I was really, really attached to. But I don't even know if Coco's still alive. I bet she's probably not because she was probably pretty old even when I knew her. But Coco might be pissed at me for abandoning the tribe these days. So I don't want to get attacked.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know I've talked about this before, but it was a long time ago. I used to try and make friends with the Kinkajous. So I'd go up there at night and put a chair, and they really love sweets. So I'd bring like some M&Ms and like a little spoonful of honey and try and like get them to be friends and stuff. And but when I was watching this episode, I remembered that before I even knew that there was the Kinkajous out there, what my favorite thing at the mansion, do you remember the owl?
Yeah, there was an owl at the mansion.
And you guys, this wasn't just some tiny barn owl, which those are cute too.
Yeah.
This was like a full blown, like, what do they call them? A horned owl?
Yeah.
And he was amazing. And the reason he was at the mansion, before anybody gets all pissed off, like, why do you have an owl at the mansion? He had been hit by a car.
Aww.
And his wing was broken. So he could never go back out into the wild. And I don't know how the mansion acquired him, if it happened near the mansion or if that's how they just got
like
him.
a rescue program, maybe?
I don't know. But amazing to see an owl like that.
Well, they had to have special zoo inspections because of the owl. Because I guess it's such a odd thing, like you're not supposed to own an owl, and because we had an owl they had to have like extra inspections regularly just to make sure like the owl was okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was very, very cool. And then you say, I want to have kids before I'm 30. And I know you've told me this before, but how old were you when you had Rainbow?
I think I was 33 when I got pregnant with Rainbow, so pretty close. But it does kind of make me laugh now how I thought that I had to have kids before I turned 30.
Yeah.
Because kind of close, early 30s. But back then I was really scared of like biological clock. And I remember, going to the gynecologist, which was the same one we all saw, one of Hef's doctors, and saying that I was worried because I was like in my mid-20s. And do I need to have kids now or I'll be out of luck? And he goes, no, because he had a practice in Beverly Hills. He goes, everybody I see who has kids is 35 at least. Most people are 40. And I don't know if that's because they were doing in vitro or what, but I was like, oh, okay. But I still kind of felt a sense of urgency about it quite a while. Which I guess isn't bad because it's
not bad.
Made me motivated.
I did not have a sense of urgency. I mean, obviously, I felt like I needed to retrieve my eggs and stuff, but I did not have a sense of urgency. And then I feel like that all backfired.
I feel like the biological clock is such a shame these days now that people are living longer and healthier, because I feel like, I don't want to say people make better parents, because you can be an adult of any age and pull yourself up and be a great parent, I think. But it's so great to like have that life experience. And it's just such a shame that like the prime time is like early 20s, because who knows what the fuck they're doing in their early 20s.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you can argue it all day. And obviously there's great parents in their 20s and great parents that are older. But I feel like the older you are, the more like kind of responsible, the more you have your own shit together, the more you can kind of focus on your kids without trying to just make your own, just like still trying to grow up yourself. Like there's just, I feel like there's so many benefits to being an older parent. But I think that just when you're a little bit older, you have usually, you have always, not always, of course, but like you'll have your career more, like
you've got your partying days out of your system.
Like, just like, more trustworthy friends.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not necessarily, but you know what I mean? Like things are just a little more together.
Yeah, it's a shame how that lines up and how that compares with like how we live our lives these days in the modern world, Like I wish biology would like kind of catch up and we could be fertile longer,
Yeah. Well, and don't even get us started again about how it's not the same for men.
Although I've been hearing that there can be some downsides to old sperm.
I heard that too.
You guys, things have been so hectic for me lately. It's the holiday season. There's a ton of things I need to do for my family and friends. All these crazy circumstances are popping up left and right. And the only reason I've been able to stay on track at all is because of Factor. It's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. They can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. They even have a keto option, which is what I get because that's the diet that works best for me. And just having those meals ready to go, I just pop them in the oven for a few minutes. It has been such a saving grace for me because I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'd probably be getting fast food and all this crazy stuff if it wasn't for Factor.
I did my last meal prep session like last week, and I'm like, okay, that's it for the month because there's just too much going on and not enough time for all of this. You can cross meal prepping off your list this holiday season with Factor. Skip the meal planning, grocery shopping, chopping, prepping, and cleaning up, and get Factor's fresh, never frozen meals delivered to your door. They're ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy. Treat yourself to high-quality, delicious meals over the holidays. Choose from 35-plus chef-crafted meals every week that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences, whether it's calorie-smart, vegan, and veggie, protein plus, and more wholesome options. And this December, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/GNL50 and use code GNL50 to get 50% off. That's code GNL50 at factormeals.com/GNL50 to get 50% off.
But I've been hearing more and more that like older sperm has its complications too. Like it's not just the egg.
Yeah, I think you may have even told me
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah. I mean, granted, men still do have a longer shelf life with that stuff, which sucks for us, but it's not foolproof either.
Right. So Hank is out there with you, and I can't quite hear what he says to you, but it sounds like he says, you are mothering it, and it's very nice.
Oh, I think he says, you have a good mothering instinct. Very nice.
Oh, instinct.
But okay. I thought Hank is such a good sport because, they made him go out there and like say that because he's a kind person. He would say something like that, but it's a random thing to say out of the blue. Like it's clearly a prompted line that goes too perfectly with this show.
Yeah. And what's interesting is they already knew that was going to kind of be the storyline, us being mothers or mothering to the pets in preparation to be mothers one day.
Yeah.
So then the next scene, we're outside the mansion in the front. It shows the mansion staff prepping for the Easter party, carrying Easter baskets, bouquets of balloons, etc., etc. All the hubbub of the party getting started. And I'm sitting in the dining room and I'm setting out tons of Easter baskets.
Yeah, and seeing you with those old school Easter baskets and the old school like plastic Easter grass, it like makes me taste Easter candy. Like it was visceral seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was over Easter at this point. And obviously we'll get into it later in this episode. Like I just felt like it's kind of like watching everybody else have a life and I'm just like forced to stand there kind of.
Right. And I noticed that I bought some themed egg decorating kits that were sports themed. And you know that I'm doing that specifically for Kendra to try and like, you know, make her feel included and more interested in it. And I just want to note that because of later.
Yeah, I feel like we always tried to do stuff like that. Like, this is dumb, but like even later in the Marie Antoinette birthday, like I know Kendra's not going to want to dress up in a princess outfit, but I have the Snow White outfit, and at least it's Charger colors. So I'll go give her that one because maybe she'll think that's fun, because I knew she always like threw a fit about doing stuff, but she would always like try and find a way to like make it her own, you know?
Yeah.
But I felt like we were always really trying to encourage that and stuff.
From day one, because one of the first parties she came to, other than working Hef's birthday party, was Easter.
Yeah.
And Casablanca night. And I gave her a dress to wear for Casablanca night, and we bought her a dress to wear at Easter.
Yeah.
So, like, right from the very, very beginning, we were always, like, considerate of her and how she felt about these things and how it was harder for her to figure out what to wear and to, you know, be prepared for everything. So we tried to help and, like, make it fun for her, too.
Yeah.
So the next scene, I say I'm in complete party planning mode because not only am I getting ready for our Easter party, but today is Wednesday's birthday party. And I have to start the day by picking up the cake from Three Dog Bakery.
You have to tell us what Three Dog Bakery is, and especially through the lens of things like this were not common back then. Like, this was a huge, like nowadays you'll see kind of stuff like this around, or you'll see like special custom pet cookies at like Petco or whatever.
Yeah.
But back then a dog bakery was like a new thing.
Yeah, it was so unique. And it's literally just that, like a dog bakery. So they would do dog cakes, and they had like a whole, and you'll see it on the show, but they had like a whole bakery window with like different cookies and little like muffins and all kinds of different things. And now, like, you can get dog stuff, like you said, at Petco. They have a whole bar of like dog treats and candies and cookies and all that kind of stuff for your dogs. And then, you know, like Sprinkles Cupcakes started doing dog cupcakes and things like that. So like it became more and more common, and now it's just like kind of normal to be able to buy like bakery goods for your pets. But back then, and I thought it was like kind of really new back then, but I looked it up and they opened in 1996.
Holy shit.
I feel like they were like, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like they were cutting edge with this stuff. Like they were.
No, I feel like it too. And I remember before this episode, like Betty McCann used to tell me about the dog bakery in the valley, and you should go get some stuff for your dogs. Like,
that's
it was
so funny.
It was a rare novelty thing.
Yeah, and then I don't think that is there anymore, the one I went
Oh.
to. And I thought maybe it doesn't exist anymore, but I couldn't be more wrong. I looked it up, and they have tons of locations.
Oh, wow.
And they're international.
Damn.
Yeah, like, but I don't think the location I went to still exists, but there are still some in LA and everything.
Yeah.
Like, but they're all over, which I was really shocked. And I just have to make a side note here. I really like my hair on this day.
Oh, yeah, it's really pretty.
Like, I feel like it's cute.
Did you have to go to that bakery twice? Like
Yes.
once to really get the cake and once for the show?
Yeah, I'll get into that too. So I tell the guy, the pet pastry chef, they label him Steve, the pet pastry chef, that I'm here to pick up the birthday cake for Wednesday. And I ask him what's all in it. And I know the show is making me ask because they want to, hear it. And he says wheat flour, water, and applesauce. And the frosting has non-fat yogurt, malt, and a little bit of honey for flavor. Oh, you know what I wanted to say too? Now there's this company. I meant to like look it up and see what it is because it's so good. You can actually buy cake mixes. They look like real cake mixes, but did I get them sent to you too? It's for dogs. It's cake mixes for dogs.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, I don't know why I thought I sent you to it. So I found it in Boston at this like cute pet store, and they were like peanut butter flavored cakes, and they were really good. Like
Damn.
Winnie devoured them, and I was even able
wow.
to like eat them a little bit because I mean they're not like amazing
Yeah.
for people because they're not like super sweet or whatever, but they were pretty good. I'll try and find that company and put it on the Patreon because I feel like if anybody's interested in making their dog a cake, it's really, really good. And so yeah, and then this is where I talk about in commentary, I say, so they didn't film me actually going to get the cake, which I think is kind of weird. I don't know if they just didn't have enough time. So here's what could have happened. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like this is probably what happened. They can only film for so long before their hours are up, and we needed all the crew. So one of two things can happen. They can have like one camera crew start early and then another camera crew come later if you're filming for a long period of time. But in this case, we have the dog birthday party going on, and then that same night we're going to do the Easter egg dyeing party. And so they need multiple camera crews all day long. And so I bet that nobody could come that early in the morning to pick up the cake with me
Okay, so you had
without
to
it
reenact.
cutting in.
Okay, that
so I
makes
had to go
sense.
back on another day and actually film that scene and like try and do my hair the same way and like all that stuff, which is always hard, and fake it. So yeah, I had to go pick up a cake twice.
And in case anybody's wondering, the reason they can't go over time is because then you have to pay everybody overtime on the crew, and that gets over budget. So
Well, and not only that, but there's laws, you know, that
Yeah.
the unions have laws against them working any longer than the set amount of time. And also we'd have to stop down. You probably already know this, but when it was a lunchtime for the crew, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Like no matter what's going on in the middle of a scene or whatever, like they have to break for lunch. They have to break for lunch.
Yeah.
Like it has to happen right now.
and then Lori shows you the cake she made, right?
Yeah.
Which is so cute.
So she goes into the walk-in fridge and brings out the Winnie cake, and it's like a chocolate cake. It's supposed to look like Winnie. It kind of does.
Uh-huh.
I think she did a
It's
good
like a
job.
Winnie bear. It's like a
It
bear
does look
cake,
like a
but
bear.
yeah.
I think so too.
Our show today is sponsored by Microdose Gummies. Microdose Gummies deliver perfect entry-level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good. You guys know how much I love my to-do list. I make a daily to-do list. I have weekly to-do lists, monthly to-do lists, yearly to-do lists, goals, next year's goals. Everything is written down on lists. And for me, half a microdose gummy during the day helps me stay centered and fresh as I get everything done on my list. It's like check, check, check. I love how helpful these gummies are. They also help me relax at night and really be present in the moment instead of worrying about things from that day, which I always do, or worrying about what's coming tomorrow, which I will stay up all night worrying about what's to do the next day, especially if I have to get up early. Ugh, I hate it.
I hear you. I've been using my microdose gummies for a combination of things. One, to help me get to sleep, but two, for creativity as well. Because right before I go to bed for the past couple weeks, I've been trying to come up with what I want for my super deluxe 2024 vision board. So I'm going to have my microdose gummies to thank when all my manifestations come true.
Microdose is available nationwide. To learn more about microdosing THC, go to microdose.com and use code NEXTLEVEL to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Links can be found in the show description, but again, that's microdose.com and code NEXTLEVEL.
Yeah, because she's oddly resentful of the dog birthday party, which is just a silly thing she needs to go do, take her dogs out, and you're getting paid for it. But she's like hostile about it. And this is just like the attitude we had to deal with day to day. And like we couldn't even, joke around or give her a hard time about it, or like we'd be the problem,
Yeah, and I think usually the show is good at disguising it and making her look like she's being a sport, but this was a hostility we dealt with all the time.
Yeah. And also, you guys, just so you know, like I know every episode needs conflict. So if she wants to be like poo-pooing the dog birthday party at first, but then she goes out and it's fine and it's fun. And it was just her kind of like ripping on it for the show, like to create some contrast, like, oh, I really have to go to a dog birthday party. That's fine. That's great. But I know that's not what it was.
It was not
like,
what it
she
was.
was really attitude-y.
It was a thing. And in this episode, and we'll get into it when she's like on the phone, but I kind of thought maybe it has to do with a guy. Like maybe she's dating somebody or she's interested in somebody who wanted to spend the day with her, and
She's
she
pissed because
can't.
she has to go to the dog birthday party. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I can get into that more in a minute. But like, it was a full day of filming because, like I said, it was the dog birthday party, and then later that afternoon or that evening, it's the Easter egg thing, and she doesn't want to do either one of these.
Yeah,
things.
she makes a big deal out of like dragging her heels and not wanting to do either one.
Yeah, and she's very pissed. And like we said, you're getting paid for this. And how is it so hard that you have to go outside to your own backyard and eat lunch and watch your dogs play?
I know, that's like the stupidest thing.
Sorry that we're like forcing you to do something so awful. In the next scene, Brian Alea is helping me carry decorations and stuff out to the game house. And then he asks me like who's all coming, and they do the Brady Bunch faces.
Yes, I love it. They divide the screen into a grid of like 9 different pictures, and as you list off the dogs, they pop a picture or video of a dog into each of the grid, and it's so cute.
And then Brian, Alea, and Guy are helping in the backyard of the game house. And I show the heart-shaped dog bowls, and I wrote everyone's names on them.
I love those dog bowls, and I kept mine for a long time. Like, I think eventually they broke because they were plastic.
Yeah.
But I had mine for like years. And it made me laugh when they're panning over the dog bowls because I forgot Hef had one. And it's just so funny to see a dog bowl that says Hef on it.
Yeah, and not only that, you guys, but we actually ate out of the dog bowls.
Yeah, they were cute.
Of course, they were brand new, but like we all ate our lunches out of them.
I'm glad we got to do a scene behind the game house because it's such a pretty area, and it has that big stained glass thing that Barbie had made, and that's like a map of the mansion. And it was just a nice excuse to use that area.
Yeah, I feel like it was so underutilized, but it was like really pretty and nicely contained, and it was just like the perfect spot.
Yeah, it was.
Guy brings out all the balloons because they have like a helium tank in the office and they help blow them up and everything. And in interview, I say we're having pita pizzas for the dogs and for us.
When you said pita pizzas, my first thought as I'm rewatching this was, oh, we should find out what the recipe for that was and we should make a TikTok or something. But then on the show, they actually cut to Tasha, one of the chefs in the kitchen, and she's doing a step-by-step how to make the pita pizzas, which were delicious, by the way. Like, I think that was something I started to order regularly after this thing.
Yeah.
And when I was watching this scene, Bridget, and I have not felt this until this episode so far on this rewatch, I can feel Kevin, the producer's presence in this episode. Like, I can really feel him in the edit, and I can feel how much he loved this episode. Like, when Tasha starts explaining the pita pizza and how to make it, and they play the corny Italian music in the background, I don't know what it was about that scene, but I'm like, Kevin was really had his hands on this episode, and I can just feel like his presence in a room and how he would kind of get all dreamy-eyed and like lost in a scene if he was really into something. And I just thought it was interesting because I haven't really, like, obviously I know Kevin loved the show and he was proud of everything about the show, but watching it back, this was the first time I was watching it and I really like felt that.
That's interesting because I felt that in this episode too. Maybe not in this exact scene, but I just felt like Kevin really loved this. And I know Hef really loved it too. I think Kevin just loved the sweetness and cuteness of everything.
Yeah.
But I think Hef really was an animal lover and loved that the animals are being featured and was just like kind of tickled by it.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like they both really liked it. And like I said, it would have never have been approved or allowed to be done if they weren't like thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, if everybody thought it was dumb, like it wouldn't have got through. Like, we didn't have that power.
Yeah.
I had many of my ideas shut down, for the record. But this, just watching that and thinking that, like, it made me miss Kevin. Like, I always say, like, even though Kevin did a lot of shit to me and I feel like he did me dirty in a lot of ways, like, there was that other side of our relationship where I really miss our friendship and I miss the good times we had.
Yeah. I feel that too sometimes. The next scene cuts back to behind the game house, and I say, "Did we have a plastic baby pool?" And this becomes a thing that I want to explain. So I thought I had seen a plastic baby pool at the mansion before, and I was just going to have them like slide it into the backyard and fill it with water because it was really hot in that backyard too. And this way the dogs can cool off and go swimming, something they didn't get to usually do. And I thought that'd be fun and exciting for them. Or maybe they don't want to do it, but I thought it'd be cute to see if they would. And Brian says, whatever the dogs want, the dogs get. But I did not know they were going to run out and try and buy a pool and bring it back. Like, I thought they were just going to pull one out from the zoo area somewhere. Because I think we did have one at one time.
Seems like we would for like turtles or something.
Well, even like the birds and stuff. Like, I know you say later in commentary that the flamingos or something like to play in it, or maybe it was the cranes.
It seems like, I feel like I've seen a kiddie pool too that was like brought out every once in a while for like some animal thing.
Yeah. So anyway, next scene, we're in the office and it shows Norma writing on the calendar and Kendra is down there and she's like tickling Hef's back. And he says, before I even go into what happens here, I can already sense that she's down there trying to get out of it 100%. And that's why she's doing the ticklies.
Yeah.
She's like kind of playing it out what his mood is and what everybody's saying down there about the party. Like, I already know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I've seen this before. Like, I can just tell by her actions and the way she's going about things. And Hef asks her, are you going to the doggy birthday party? And she says, No. And when she says that, she's not kidding. Like, she wants to see if she can get away with that. Like, if he says, oh, you're kidding. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll see you later tonight or whatever. But instead, he like turns around and looks at her and says, you're not going to the party? Like, he's truly like, what?
And then you see her flip a switch real fast. Like all of a sudden tone of voice changes. Oh no, I'm going, see you there, honey.
I was just kidding.
Yeah.
I was just kidding. And he laughs and makes fun of her for saying no. And I think he thinks she was just kidding, but I know she was not just kidding. She was going to see if she could get away with that. And Hef starts to walk away and she says, Are you going? And he turns around and says, of course.
Yeah.
Another sign that Hef is totally into this.
Yeah.
Because how hard is it, even for somebody who does have a busy schedule, to go out in the yard and have lunch and spend some time with the animals?
Yeah.
Like, is it so hard? Is it so awful? Like, that's the part that just gets me.
Yeah.
We're not even asking you, like, I'm not asking you to go and dig in the dirt and pull out worms and eat them or something like weird. Like, we're doing something very basic and should be something just fun and something you have to do anyway. Take your dogs out and have lunch. And then the next scene, we're in Brian's office. Oh, and this whole scene confuses me too.
Yeah.
So Dan the chef is standing in the doorway and Brian looks at him and says, okay, so I'm feeding dogs? And Dan says, yep, you're feeding dogs. And Brian said, Bridget has a birthday party for Wednesday and nobody informed us. It was going to be...
Wait. Oh, nobody informed us it was going to be plate service?
Yeah, and nobody
Okay, I thought you were going to say nobody informed us. I was like, wait, wasn't he planning it from the get-go?
Yeah, he says nobody informed us it was going to be plate service. But let me just, let's just back up for a second. And I posted this stuff on the Patreon. I had invitations that I passed out to everyone ahead of time. Like,
there
way
was
ahead
a
of time.
printed out menu.
There's a printed out menu that I worked with the kitchen staff on.
Yeah.
There is a custom cake made, not just for Wednesday, but for us from Lori. They are helping blow up the balloons. There's preparation in the backyard. Like, I don't know how they could have not known. They know Hef's going to be out there. They know Mary's going to be out there. They know we're filming it.
Yeah.
Like, they know all this stuff. So if they didn't plan enough butlers for the day, I just feel like it's not because, and then I'm like, okay, let me break this down even more. So plate service, but we aren't really having plate service. Like, we're having salad and pizzas.
Yeah.
We're not individually ordering our own things. It's kind of a set menu. So I'm very, very confused. And Brian's very much involved, not only in helping me plan Wednesday's birthday party, but also in the egg dyeing party we're going to have later in the day. So I'm very confused as to the confusion.
Yeah, it's
here.
weird. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. And in commentary, I say, I told Brian that we don't need a butler, but they insisted. And I think they insisted because Hef was going out there and the camera crews were going to be out there. I think maybe they just thought, oh, Bridget's having a birthday party and just the girls are going out there. But when they realized Hef's going to be out there and the camera crew, all of a sudden they were like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
Because there's no way they didn't know every detail about this.
Or maybe the producers are like, how can we ratchet this up so it looks a little more eccentric? Beverly Hills, what do they do for their dogs? Oh, let's get a couple more butlers out here in vests and make it look like they're serving the dogs. Maybe it was something like that.
Maybe, but
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. So the next scene, Holly's walking down the stairs with all her dogs, and you look so good.
Thanks. This is one of my favorite looks of the whole show. Just like the dress and the blowout that Laurent did.
It's like
a good blowout, and I wish I could replicate it now.
It's such a different look for you too.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, it's really fun. Was it new extensions maybe?
Well, I don't think that's what made the blowout good, because what made the blowout good was the way he did my bangs.
I love those bangs.
Yeah, that's what made it different.
And you go into the backyard of the game house and Captain Bob is there, which already I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's Mary's partner. He's there with Mary's dog, Miss Kitty.
But he's passed away, so you know, that's what's kind of fun about watching this is we get to see everyone.
People come back to life. Yeah.
It shows Winnie running out to the game house, but she stops because she hates. I have this happy birthday handkerchief around her neck, which I have in my scrapbook.
Aw, cute.
And I don't know if you guys get this way or maybe I'm just weird, but it has some of her hair on it. And I'm like,
baby Win.
Yeah, it makes me all sentimental.
Maybe you could have her cloned from the hair. Can they do that?
Probably for a lot of money.
Would that be scary to you to get a clone of Winnie?
I don't think it would be scary to me. I just think that it's one of those things that's kind of unaffordable except for like the really uber rich.
And it's weird too because it's the dog, but it's not the dog.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same soul.
Right. So would that be weird?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I ordinarily would not be into the idea of cloning a dog because I'm so pro like animal rescue. But when I lost Rascal, I'm like, okay, I can see why people do it. Just because Rascal was like so unique and such a good dog and so well behaved. I mean, granted, he was trained and stuff too, but he was just like so ideal for my lifestyle in a lot of ways. Like he was so good in the car, like on drives to Vegas and back and forth and just everything. And I wouldn't do it because again, like I'm so pro animal rescue, but I can see why people would want to clone certain dogs.
Yeah. Like I said, it goes back to how you feel about your pet. And so, you know, it's either a pet or you're like, it's like your baby or it's your soulmate. And I think when you feel like it's your soulmate, like.
But then it's not going to have the same soul.
Right. So then is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who did it? Didn't like Bette
Barbara
Midler?
Streisand.
Oh, Barbara Streisand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be interesting to ask her that. Not that I could just ask her.
I know, like I wish we could get the Barbara Streisand interview, but let's just talk about your dog. Barbara, we need to know.
Well, I wish somebody would ask her an interview.
I know. I wonder if it's something she's open to talking about, or I wonder if it's something she gets snitty. Like, I don't need to tell you about my clone dog.
Well, she obviously told somebody she did it, right? So, like, she must not be.
Or somebody leaked it. Or maybe it was like that thing where somebody posted the picture of her house online and then nobody thought anything of it. But because she sued, then it became a thing. And now they call it the Barbara Streisand effect.
Wait, what? Wait,
Okay, so the Barbara Streisand effect is when something is out in the public, but nobody really caught on to it and nobody cared. But because you got so pissed that it was out there that you decided to sue or make a big fuss out of it, now everybody goes and looks. And now everybody knows exactly where Barbara Streisand's house is and exactly what the aerial view of it looks like. And her privacy is breached, you know, if she didn't want anyone to see that. But nobody gave a shit before she said anything. So when you make a fuss about something and bring attention to the thing you never wanted anybody to see in the first place, it's called the Barbara Streisand effect.
That's so interesting. That's
Which is back why, like, how Hef would not make any comment when girls would write books about him because Barbara Streisand effect. Which is another weird thing about Hef's later years is he made a statement after my book came out, and I thought, that's weird because the Hef I knew would have never done that.
Yeah.
And I'm suspicious that maybe that was like written for him. Either he was like completely not all there and thought it would be a great idea to make that statement, which just ratcheted up my book sales. So thank you, Hef, or whoever his spokesperson was. So either he was like not right in the head and thought it would be a good idea and veered from his normal course of doing things, or he was not right in the head and somebody made that statement on his behalf saying it was him. I don't know. That's just I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking when you were explaining what it was.
And then Crystal Camden shows up.
Yeah.
And she's wearing these sunglasses, which were the sunglasses that were in style at the time that looked like you were going to go welding.
Oh my God, I have to go back and
look. You know
look
those big
now.
sunglasses that are like shielding your eyes? They're just like huge.
So funny.
But they were super in back then.
Yeah.
Welders.
And then it cuts to Brian Alea and he says to Camera, he's talking to Camera, we found out that we need to have a doggy pool. So we sent Guy out to see if he can find a pool to be here by 1 o'clock and it's 12:47. Yeah, I think he'll make it. But I'm just like, where's the sarcasm kind of coming from? Because I was not.
You know what
insisting.
I think it is? You know what I think it is? I think it's Kevin wanting more of that upstairs, downstairs that he loved. And I think it's just him trying to make drama because we're doing this cute little dog birthday party. There's nothing dramatic about it except Kendra's giving us attitude. So what can we throw on the staff at the last minute? It's totally that. It's totally production.
It's kind of like.
It's not us because we would not order people around like that. Like you were very plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'm just showing up.
Yeah. And if there's not a doggy pool on the property, then, or
no
not
big deal,
a doggy pool,
yeah.
a baby pool on the property, then that's fine. Like if there is, let's bring it over here.
It was totally production.
Yeah. And it reminds me, it's giving me the red polka dotted bathing suit thing.
Yes,
too.
it's an echo of that, 100%.
Like I'm demanding this crazy thing, and poor Brian Alea has to or the staff has to run around like crazy.
Yeah.
And whatever. But yeah, didn't happen like that. So then the next scene, I say, you look like a birthday party, and you 100% do.
That's why I picked that dress. It reminds me of like cake frosting, like happy birthday.
Yes. And I don't know, even your hair and stuff, like you just look like a birthday party.
Yay. Mission accomplished.
I know. And then like you said, Crystal, Hef's former girlfriend.
Oh, Hef's former girlfriend, Crystal Camden.
Walks in. And then Kendra's in her room with a towel around her, and she's talking on the phone. Here's the part where I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. She's talking on the phone saying she wishes she could, she says she wishes she could go, not to the dog birthday party. She's talking to whoever she's talking to on the phone somewhere. And then she says, no, not today. It's out of the question. And I think one of two things in here. I feel like this is either a fake phone call, or she's talking to a guy on the phone.
I think it could be either. And the way Hef walks in and he's kind of like pissy with her for being late, which this is like Hef finally like realizing that Kendra being late is Kendra's problem and not my problem. He snaps at me about it on Kara's slumber party, but he's I'm finally kind of getting some redemption here where like Hef realizes if Kendra's late and he's annoyed about it, he needs to take it up with Kendra. But I feel like maybe he senses something's a little off with this because he seems annoyed.
Either that, or I was thinking the reason he could seem a little annoyed in the scene is I have a feeling that when she was down in the office that she whined to Mary about not wanting to come to the dog birthday party.
Probably.
And I think that Mary might have said something to Hef about it, and Hef was probably like, well, too bad.
Yeah.
Like she needs to go to this. Mm-hmm. We're filming it for the show. Like it's not just like something that's just happening randomly. Like this is part of the show.
And he's probably wondering, well, what does she want to go do if she's so desperate to not be here?
Yeah, which then
the wheels are turning, I think.
If that's the case, then he might be thinking what's so important.
Yeah.
And might be thinking guy. I do not know if she was seeing anybody at this time.
But she's also been open in her book and in the press that she was like seeing guys the whole time she was up there. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right. And I also feel like that's the reason why her moods fluctuated a lot while we were filming. It kind of depended on what was going on. Like if she was in a new relationship and wanted to spend all her time with this new guy or whatever, and the show is taking up her time, she gets frustrated and irritated with us.
That could be it, because I never understood where it was coming from.
Yeah. Or if she's like having problems in the relationship.
Yeah, then she's pissy and we're never going to know why.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, looking back on it now, I feel like that makes more sense as to the ups and downs.
Yeah, it does.
Because I feel like we were consistent in our relationship with her.
Yeah.
But we never know what we were getting in return.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was thinking, like, it's kind of funny, too, how, like, I am walking straight out to the dog birthday party. I don't really care about like waiting for Hef this time for whatever reason. And he's walking down with Kendra, which is kind of unusual. But it made me think of like when we were talking about being erased from Playboy after we left. You know what they did with the Girls Next Door graphic, like on some of the streaming, is they switched. Because you know how in the bobbleheads when we're standing in front of the house, it's like, it would be like Kendra, you, Hef, and then me. They switched it so it's you, Hef, Kendra, and then me. They bumped me out.
Wait, on
like if you go to streaming and you look at Girls Next Door, it's like the cover art.
Yeah.
Like, you know when we did the big box set, it was like our bobbleheads standing out in front of the house.
Yeah.
They like wedged Kendra. They bumped me down.
Isn't
that like the level of petty that is completely unheard of, that they would bother to go back and do that?
Yeah, I'm totally shocked by that.
And like, I don't really care. Like, I don't need to be like standing next to Hef in the thing, but it's just the fact that they went out of their way to do it.
Right.
It's just like, are you guys petty or what?
Gosh, that just shows the level of resentment and stuff too. Like, who does that?
100%. And honestly, like, while Kevin was still alive, I always kind of had a fear that he would go back and like re-edit Girls Next Door to try and like make me look worse or make it look like I was lying in my book. I always kind of had that fear.
Oof. So it shows Brian and Guy setting up the pool, so they got it, and with plenty of time.
There are some of the cutest shots of the dogs in this scene. That's one of the reasons I love this episode so much. There's really cute up-close shots of the dogs eating. There's a really cute shot of Littlefoot with a party hat on that I love.
Yeah. And then in interview, you say, Rascal and Martini were late. They must take after their mom. The next scene cuts to Kendra in her room, still not dressed. Her phone rings, and she screams, "What the And she stomps her way over to her phone and she screams out, do people not want me to have a day? But you guys, this is not just like acting for the camera.
That's how she was. I think it would have been funny if everybody just would have like dropped hands and been like, okay, you can leave anytime you want, and just seen what would have happened.
But it's just like so hurtful for me to see her acting like this. Because I'm like, God, she just really can't stand anybody at the mansion and the lifestyle. And then she says, God, in a grumble, and then like whispers, haters. How is that haters that people want her to come down and be a part of things?
It's so weird.
Like, it's just so frustrating for me. And even though it's like however many years later, it's still like kind of hurtful and still like it's irritating to watch that somebody can just be so.
Do you think it would be less irritating to watch if there hadn't been so much support and coddling for Kendra by the people who had the power to make things happen? Like if Hef hadn't been worried about, like, I don't want to say giving her extra because it's not like he gave her extra, but if, like I said, like if people would have just been hands off and been like, okay, Kendra, you can just like walk out anytime you want. We're not going to make a special effort to like make you a spinoff or make sure you do this or make sure you show up to things. Show up if you want. If you don't, it'll just be Bridget and Holly and whatever other girls we want to feature on the show. Like, would Kendra's attitude still bother you if people had acted that way?
Probably not. I
feel like same here. I feel like it's a combination of two things. Like, it's not that we really care that much that Kendra was being a dick, because who cares, but it's the fact that she was a dick and then she was like the most supported one on all levels, and everybody was just doing the most they could to prop her up and make sure she showed up to everything and make sure she had all the advantages and she can go do these club appearances and make all the money, but you guys can't. You have to stay home. And it's just the combination of those two things that make it really gross in my mind.
Well, and the way everybody, including ourselves, felt we had to go out of our way to make it special for her so that she would be in a good mood to come and do it.
Yeah. Before we move on, I will say there is an episode later in this season where they do go hands off and let her fall, and then true colors come right out.
Really?
Yeah.
Hef says Winnie looks like Playmate material, and then we point out the cover that the fan made, and he says,
"Oh, a fan made that cover?
Yeah,
oh, that's cute. I didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, her name's Pam, and she
cute.
did that. So cute, and she made one for Gizzy too.
Aww.
And then the next scene cuts back to Kendra. She goes down to Jenny's office and asks her if she has a spare card that she can give to Wednesday.
I think the most interesting thing about that scene is just showing that in the office at the mansion there was just a stockpile of cards for any occasion. That was kind of a cool resource. You know what else I love when they cut back to the dog birthday party is there's this footage of Rascal when he's in the baby pool and he's like chomping on the water.
Oh, I have that.
It's
later
really
in my
cute.
notes.
He's like an alligator.
Yeah. And Brian and Guy come walking out with food trays. But I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is edited to make it look like Kendra's there in time for food, but I don't think she was. And everybody has their own bowl and they're all fed doggy pizza. And then you say the doggy pizza was amazing.
So good. I tried the dog cake too, which that was a little dry.
Yeah, it's a little bland.
But edible.
And you split yours with Duchess, and it's so funny because you're eating it and you're licking your fingers and stuff, and it shows Duchess like she's not getting enough food.
Funny.
Like,
aww, poor
wait,
baby.
you're eating it all.
So funny.
And then you say, look at Rascal, and he's like chomping
yeah,
at the water.
it's so funny.
I mean, Rascal's clearly having a great time, and that made me like question in the notes here. I said it begs the question. The dogs love it, but she didn't even want to let them be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even do it for your dogs to let them go out and have a play day, get out of the house and go have like some fun food for one day and play with other dogs.
They were cooped up in that room all the time.
Yeah. And I totally forgot about this. It shows Archie letting himself back in the front door. I 100% forgot he could do that and that he did it often.
The front door at the mansion had like a lever handle and Archie could let himself into it. And I love that they got footage of that because it was such a funny, like quirky thing about the mansion. Like, oh, Archie can let himself in and out. And the fact that they caught it on camera was really cool and I think really special. And it's just one of those moments in the show where they're really capturing like the home movies of all this. You know, it's one of those things that I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
And it was kind of like a bad behavior in a way because they would want Archie to stay outside sometimes because if it's raining rancid farts. And because, as you know, he would go to the bathroom in the house. So they tried to get him to kind of stay outside as much as possible. And he wouldn't have it. He just let himself right back in.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And that's all I have on the birthday party. After that, we're going to get into Easter.
Yeah. So that's the dog birthday party. Justice for the dog birthday party.
Yes.
I enjoyed the dog birthday party and I enjoy watching it back.
I do too. I feel like it's all good memories, or majority is good memories. And watching all of our pets again is like, that is just so incredible to have that.
Yeah, totally.
And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would have another party for Wednesday. She's here right now.
So we hope you guys have an amazing week. We'll see you next week. If you would like more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/nextlevel.
Oh yeah, I posted the menu for the party on there and like all kinds of cute photos.
So we will see you there and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. For more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel.